The name Trussardi is not new to the world of fragrances. Their perfumes have been around for a while, but I never had any perfumes that I liked in their collections until they came up with their luxury collection that is called The Life of Milan. And I really like the concept because each fragrance is named after a district or a street in Milano. So with all these scents, you can discover this Italian fashion capital. And the fragrance that I would like to start with is the one I actually purchased in a full bottle. Passeggiata in Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II. This fragrance is taking you to the place of the most luxury shopping in Milano. Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II is a shopping center that looks like streets covered with arches, and inside it looks like a museum. The most luxury brands are located in there, and I'm sure you have seen these photographs somewhere on Instagram if you've never been there. This is luxury in a bottle. And this one is the most popular fragrance of the collection, according to Fragrantica. It's not the highest rated, but it is the most popular. This way you can also see the design. The heads are greyhound dogs. The magnet is really, really strong. It takes some effort to open it. Just so wonderful. And the moment I realized I wanted this fragrance is when I was on the street after spraying it in a department store. And I just wanted to eat myself. Believe me, if someone smells this perfume on you, if this person is into gourmand fragrances, you would be just an edible, delicious candy. I know that this is not the level of deliciousness that everybody likes, and I'm one of those people, but somehow I really enjoy this perfume. This is not cloying, it is so well balanced, it has many interesting notes in here, and you just feel that craftsmanship and that luxury in this scent. Saying that this perfume smells like Nutella is a bit true, but it is not totally true because there's so much more going on in here. The opening reminds me of drinking coffee in Catania, on the island of Sicilia. Instead of drinking cappuccino in the morning, they put Nutella in their espresso, and that smell that comes from espresso with Nutella mixed in there, this is what it is. It is not a strong coffee scent, it is just that aroma of coffee that is rising up from your cup, that sweet steam. And you know, in Italy they also like their croissants with Nutella or some kind of a hazelnut paste. Just a yummy Italian breakfast, super sweet. And the fragrance continues developing its deliciousness into creamy direction. And that creamy direction includes creamy florals like tuberose and jasmine and coconut. And these notes in the middle, they make me think of a honey-like floral nectar, but also milky foam of your cappuccino. So this is the direction the fragrance is taking. And somewhere between the delicious floral creaminess, I find my dreams about desserts. I have toffee in here, I have caramel, creme brulee, and even praline. All these sweet, delicious desserts, all these sweet notes and fragrances, they are not listed in the pyramid, but they are somehow, somewhere in all this deliciousness. And this continues all the way down to the base of the pyramid. I was actually surprised not to find any sandalwood in the base of the pyramid because the base of this perfume smells very similar to, now you'll be surprised, to Viva la Juicy Couture. The dry down of this fragrance, creamy caramelized sandalwood. That's the reason I really love it so much. Unfortunately, the new reformulation made it lighter and the dry down is no longer so dense and so caramelized and woody. It was simplified in my opinion. But this Trussardi fragrance really reminds me of the old Viva la Juicy Couture. Actually, someone on Fragrantica said that this Passeggiata is Viva la Juicy Couture mixed with some coffee notes. This is simplification, but I really do see that comparison. Passeggiata in Galleria Vittorio Emanuele is a part of the Discovery set that was set by Trussardi. And yes, it is here as well. And another fragrance that I really loved in this set, coincidentally, it's also named after a street of luxury shopping in Milano, and I have it as a separate sample as well, is called Limitless Shopping via della Spiga. That's another place where you would like to shop in Milano if you're searching for luxury brands. And this fragrance is also creamy floral deliciousness. Remember in the previous fragrance I told you that in that floral creaminess I find something that is honey-like and nectar-like? Here it comes to full bloom. And here we do find honey indeed in the pyramid. This perfume is a bit unusual because when you smell it at the beginning you think it's not so sweet. It opens up actually with a fresh, crispy green apple. Very surprising considering how it develops further. But this is also a sign of that craftsmanship, how you go from crispy, fresh green apple, complemented with a citrusy touch of bergamot, into creamy florals that are wrapped in honey syrup and make it a very gourmand fragrance. I am glad I don't feel the rose in here because I'm not a fan of roses, but unfortunately I cannot pull out individual white florals from this blend. When it comes to mahonial, this is a really mysterious flower that once I tried in a fragrance by Versace. I liked that Versace Purple Dylan, despite that I never liked those series, and I think that was because of mahonial. I think it might be adding something different in here. Somehow I get once again that creamy coconutty tuberose. For me, this is a similar white floral blend of tuberose and jasmine that is creamy, coconutty, delicious. It's just complemented with honey. This was not love at first sight for me because of the honey note, but when I got to wear it a little bit, I could not get my hands of it. That's why I got an extra sample of Limitless. The next fragrances are not my crazy loves, but they are very big likes. One of them is Aperitivo Milanese Porta Nuova. Porta Nuova is a Spanish gate of the city, and it is known for neoclassical style. And I see the link with this fragrance because this fragrance, in a way, has something old-fashioned and classical about it, but it was redone in a more modern neoclassical way, if you wish. I'm going to try it with you. Aperitivo in Milano is a very big tradition, and they offer several cocktails. And Italian amaretto is a classical drink for Italian aperitivo. I cannot say that this fragrance has amaretto as a very bright note. I would say this is more of an iris-centered fragrance. And this iris is so beautiful. It is powdery yet clean at the same time. My nose skipped the citrusy opening, but I think that I feel that bergamot, that bitterness of bergamot and possibly mandarin leaves that I would not identify myself, but I see them in the description. I think I feel them later because that powderiness is intertwined with bergamot and amber, and I think that's what makes it a bit more mature. And there's something old-fashioned, oriental about it, but at the same time, it's something that I would wear myself. It's not something that I would attribute to older ladies. It really projects that powderiness that is so classy and chic, really Milano style. I don't have particular reasons why this fragrance is in my likes rather than my loves, but I think I'll be very happy to use up this sample. And if you're searching for iris fragrance that is lasting very long, I think this is something you should pay attention to. Another iris fragrance that goes into my likes is Musc Noir Perfume Enhancer. And Trussardi described it as woody floral musk. For me, this is an invisible kind of perfume, and usually I'm not a fan of this kind of fragrances. I don't really know why people use them, but I do like this one. And the reason, again, is that wonderful, powdery, clean iris. It is not intense here as it is in Aperitivo Milanese Porta Nuova, but it is very similar. It's just its intensity is much lower. If Aperitivo Milanese is about 8 on the scale of my intensity, this one is probably around 2 on the scale of my intensity. As I said, this is invisible kind of fragrance. I'm not very certain about the concept of perfume enhancer. I guess it is supposed to enhance other fragrances when you use them, but I don't know how something that is so low on the level of intensity can enhance something that is much more intense. I kind of tried it, but it doesn't really work. So I guess you can just wear this fragrance on its own. It's very transparent, beautiful, elegant, feminine, but it is not something you would wear for others. This is just something you would wear for yourself or for a very intimate setting, for an intimate date when you know that someone will be smelling your skin. This could be a great option for kissing in Milano, for example. And the last fragrance that is in my likes is called Behind the Curtain Piazza, alla Scala. La Scala, if you know, is an opera house of Milano. And of course, it has to be a place of elegance, chic people, and maybe old money kind of vibe, because this is a very old opera house. I will tell you that this perfume was not love at first sniff. It took me maybe 10 minutes to understand it and to like it. Or maybe it just took a bit of time for this fragrance to settle down on my skin. Leather is the center of this composition, and it comes with its best friends, saffron and cypriol oil. These are the core of the fragrance. But then there are some nuances that make this leather so attractive, not overly standoffish, chic, classy, and I was trying to understand what makes this leather so likable. On one hand, there are some spices, but at the same time, this is not an oriental kind of leather. This is indeed a European style leather. And Italian perfumers, they make leather really, really nicely. Many leather fragrances that I love, they come from Italian houses. That's why I say that these spices, you don't really feel them much. And on the other side, you have woody notes. And these woody notes, same thing. You don't really feel them so much. You don't really think of this fragrance as a woody fragrance, despite that Trussardi puts it in a woody leather spicy group. But the woodiness comes out in the base. And the base, I think I love the base even more than the fragrance itself. And the reason this is in the likes for me is because it's something I would not wear myself, but I think I would really love it on a man. And I think if I had a man in front of me wearing this fragrance, this would go into my big loves. There's nothing particularly masculine about this fragrance, and I think I could wear it sometimes myself. But if I think of a woman that would wear this fragrance, this actually would be Sima from the series And Just Like That. And in fact, not only Sima herself, but her last boyfriend, Ravi. I kind of associate this couple with this fragrance. It is very elegant, very meticulously done. Every little detail is very well thought, like every element of style of Sima and Ravi. And there is something powerful and confident about this fragrance. There's one fragrance that is a part of Trussardi La Vie de Milano collection, and unfortunately it is not a part of this discovery set because it was added to it only in 2022. It's called The Paintings of Palazzo Reale. When I smelled that fragrance in the department store, I fell in love with it, and I fell in love with an imaginary man that could possibly wear it. Because despite that all the fragrances are unisex, this one is a perfect perfume for a man, at least the way I imagine it. I did wear it myself. I did enjoy wearing it on my own skin, but I think it's made for a nice gentleman who is very well dressed, has an immaculate taste. Palazzo Reale is one of the major museums in the world. So this fragrance should be a major fragrance for a gentleman who likes to smell nice. The Paintings of Palazzo Reale has very interesting notes, and the dates are indeed recognizable in here, but these dates are intertwined with honey, and not even so much honey, but honey wax. I never thought that I would be so crazy about the fragrance where honey wax is the center of the composition. But this one is really something. And another element that contributes a lot to this beautiful, beautiful scent is amaretto. Finally, I get those almonds in a liquor, boozy way that add to this honey dates and make it just so delicious. And the base looks like there's so much going on in here, but in fact, it's very soft. That honey wax that was complemented by dates is now complemented by vanilla. And oud comes out in such a beautiful, beautiful, delicate way that I would not even expect it to be so slow and so seductive. Oh, this fragrance is just piece of art. That's probably why it's called The Paintings. And now I have 3 fragrances left in the set, and these are the fragrances that are not my favorites. But since I've committed to do the review of the entire set, I'm going to tell you about these 3 as well. The one that I find more or less okay is called Alba sui Navigli. And this is a neighborhood of Milano that is known for its nightlife. I don't associate this smell with any night scene at all. I don't even think that this is an evening kind of fragrance. Maybe the only thing that can make you think of nightlife is Aperol Spritz, because this fragrance is very orangey. The creator describes it as citrus floral blood orange. For me, this is juicy orange mixed with petitgrain. You really get that juiciness that is very rare in fragrances that have oranges. And if this is something you're searching for, you might like it. The reason I don't like it so much is because this fragrance does not feel like a perfume to me. To me, it feels more like an essential oil. In fact, I have an essential oil of petitgrain, and this is very similar to it, with just a little bit more nuances that move this fragrance towards bloody orange. But I don't get so much woody or floral notes in here. The next 2 fragrances are classified by Trussardi as woody floral, but for me, they are kind of pharmaceutical, especially the fragrance that is called Walking in Porta Venezia. Porta Venezia used to be called Oriental Gates of the city, and I think this is what it is supposed to be, some oriental spices. Because if you look at the pyramid, there are some interesting oils that probably come mostly from the eastern part of the world, but in the combination kind of don't work for me. They really smell like a very old pharmacy, especially those bottles that have paper labels on them, and those paper labels, they absorb oils and they just get rotten. Or it even smells like old wallpaper in a very old house. I don't know, this is the association that I get. I have never encountered poisonous as an olfactive family, but Walking in Porta Venezia is indeed poisonous. Maybe it is supposed to have a bewitching effect on your lovers, but for me, this is a pass. The other fragrance is Vicoli via Fiori Chiari. And this is a neighborhood in Milano that is known for its cute restaurants and food scenery, where you can try something unusual and experimental. And the fragrance is classified as woody floral edible. It opens again with a note of star anise. And I've tried star anise in food, especially Asian food, and I like it as a part of some sauces, but it does not remind me of star anise the way I know it. For me, again, it gives a very pharmaceutical vibe. And just in a bit, very quickly, I recognize LMI. I am not a big fan of LMI, especially when it's very strong. And here it is very strong. For me, it dominates maybe 80% of the fragrance. And the other 20 is mostly pharmaceutical. So for me, this is another dislike. I don't want to discourage you from trying these fragrances, because if you're into unusual fragrances with the very unique combinations, you might like them. They might sound different on your skin. But for me, I don't even think I would finish these samples. Here I have star anise that I add in my Asian sauces when I cook. But the perfumes did not make me think of this star anise. The fragrance of Trussardi that reminded me of this star anise is called the Street Artist of Isola. It's not a part of this discovery set, and it really smells a lot like anise. In the description it has fennel. It's much lighter, but I would say that fennel really dominates the fragrance. So if you are into anise and fennel notes, try the Artist of Isola. Well, as you see, this was a very interesting set with diverse fragrances made for different tastes. And the good news is that Trussardi is continuing the expansion of this collection. And I think I will keep my eye on the new releases.